Okay guys, so here we are, we're making a Peter Pan collar pattern piece. And so what I've got first is my front pattern piece, which I'm going to lay down on this, this is one of those cardboard gridded mats, and it's great for pattern making. It might make it hard to see on the video, but I'll take some photographs too so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to first put the front piece down, and I'm going to just line it up so I know it's straight with one of these grids here. And the other great thing about these is you can just take some thumbtacks and just push it into that cardboard grid. Okay, so now I've got my front bodice piece there nice and secured. Now I'm going to take my back bodice piece, and as I showed you, I drew in the seam lines in red. So now I'm going to line it up as it will be sewn. So I'm going to match the red seam lines to each other. Make sure I get the neckline there rounded perfectly. I'm going to put a push pin there. And now what I want to do on this side is overlap them just slightly by about ½ inch, let's say. So I'm going to so I'm looking at my, oops, stay in there. Okay, I'm going to take a clear gridded ruler, and I'm making sure that my red lines are overlapping by ½ inch there at the shoulder, the far shoulder, close to your arm. And the reason for that is that this shortening this shoulder seam at the end there will create a nice roll for your collar, and you'll see what I mean when we make it. Okay, so our pieces are all ready to be drafted. What I'm going to do now is just secure them with some pins here, because I need to put a piece of tracing paper down over it, so I'm going to have to take out some of these push pins. So I'm just going through both of the layers of pattern tissue here to make sure that they stay in place, how we just arrange them. Okay. And move this push pin over there. Move one over there. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do, oops, sorry about that. Okay, we're good. Is take some of this Swedish tracing paper that I like to use. It comes on a roll like this. I'll link to where I bought this from if you're interested. And I'm just going to lay this over there. I'm going to cut out a good size piece here. Some schmutz on it. Okay, so I'm going to lay it over my two pattern pieces. I'm going to make sure that I get the whole collar in here. And if your push pins aren't staying, another thing you can do is just use straight pins to pin the Swedish tracing paper to the pattern pieces underneath it. Okay, so now what I've done is I've laid out my pattern pieces and then put the Swedish tracing paper over it so that I can draw in the collar on top of it. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a blue pencil so that it will hopefully show up, is I am going to trace around my collar first, around the neckline, sorry. So this is my front, center front right here, I'm tracing. And now center back, which on this pattern there is a cut-on extension for a facing right here. Don't include that because your collar isn't going to go all the way around to the facing. It's just going to go to the back here. Now I'm going to trace around the neckline. I'm using a French curve here, matching it up to the curve of the neckline. Okay, and so now I've got my neckline and the front and back drawn in there. And that I'm going to use this to draw the Peter Pan collar from. Okay, so like I showed you, I drew the neckline around here. Now I actually want the collar to end in the back, not at the center back, because there's an overlap there where the extension, the buttonholes, what am I trying to say? The buttonhole extensions lap over each other, and you don't want the collar to be all mixed up in that. So I'm actually going to draw a new line at the, there are these buttonholes right here. On the side of these, I'm going to draw a new line in blue. And that point is where I want the Peter Pan collar to end in the back. So basically what we're going to do now is draw in a curve right here for a one-piece Peter Pan collar. It's going to go right around like that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is draw in the style lines of the Peter Pan collar, which basically just means we're going to draw in the shape of it without seam allowances. So we're going to start at this neckline where it's going to be seamed. So that's 5/8 of an inch in from the actual edge of the pattern piece. Now I've decided that I want my collar to be 1 3/4 inches, which isn't too small and isn't too big. So what I'm going to do is just take this ruler, and I'm using green pencil now so you can see what I'm doing, and just mark points that are 1 3/4 inches out, just sort of all around here. I'm just sort of just making these little dashes that are, oops, get these out of the way, 1 3/4 inches out. And you gotta keep moving your ruler so it's accurate around there. Okay. So you'll see I have a nice semicircle of green dashes around here. Now I'm going to use these to mark as my guide to make the shape of the collar. Now the collar starts right at the center front, which is right here. So what I want to do is just take a French curve and just draw in. I'm just sort of like arranging it till I get a nice looking curve there. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to take my green pencil and draw in a little rounded curve there. And that will be the front of my collar. See how it looks like a little Peter Pan collar? And then I'm just going to connect these green dashes around here. And the way to work with a French curve is to just keep lining it up so that your marks are in alignment, and then use it to draw that line. Okay, and now there's going to be a curve in the back too, which ends right before the buttons, like I showed you. So I'm going to do the same thing I did in the front. And I'm going to kind of see where I started that curve so it's similar. So let's see, there's my curve in the front. Let's see if I can use that to copy that curve in the back. And there we go. There, and that's really all there is to it.